both.
I'll hit record.
Nice.
You're on.
Cool. This is a SIG Network meeting for September 1st, 2022. Guess we'll start it off with triage as usual.
Awesome. I have queued up triage. I didn't go through all the issues, but there's not too many. Get me find the right window. And as usual, I closed a few. There were stale, but we've got 5 that are worth talking about today. Kube proxy and non-privileged mode. So this person is trying to run kube proxy without privileged. They're running into a sysctl issue. There is an open PR to add a flag to disable the route localnet sysctl. They referenced a Slack discussion wherein Antonio was encouraging them. I'm not clear whether this will ever work. Like, I know we set a few different sysctls, and I don't know how much time we want to spend on this. I didn't close it out of hand, but I don't know if we're going to spend a whole lot of energy on trying to make this work.
But let me add some context here, because this is the second issue that people try to open things against the cluster add-ons kube proxy, and I'm sure that you have more context there than anybody. So by understanding, this is an internal thing that was used in the CI for run the GC jobs, right? This cluster folder.
Yeah, I mean, that is all it seems to be using it anymore. Originally, it was a precursor to kubeatom, but I think it is obsolete except for CI now. Yeah,
and that's the thing, is people start sending patches there to modify this configuration. Actually, this patches is trying to do that. Oh, so this issue is about that. They want to change the kube proxy add-on in the cluster
you're right.
folder. Yeah,
but there,
yeah.
I was just going to say, I mean, there are theoretical reasons why, somebody might want to run everything non-privileged that they possibly can. And so in theory, if kube proxy could be made to run with just net admin, that would be cool.
It would be cool, and I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm happy to leave this open and triage accept it, but I feel like it's going to rot if nobody feels ownership over that as a goal.
So we have this running in time with this person that implemented the rules thing. They found out all the things.
Okay. Do we have issues? Is it possible to do? How did they get around this particular issue? Is it not running in IP tables mode?
I don't know.
Like, if this is the only one, then cool. There's already a PR open to bypass this. But I'd be surprised if it's the only one.
I can't actually think of anything off the top of my head that would require any more privilege than capnet admin.
I mean, we try to set the contract hash table size at least, right? Like, maybe we're getting away with it because it's defaulting to the right size or something.
Yeah, there are 2. I have the commands in kind because we need them, so I can paste what is necessary to. Okay,
I'm guessing that if the sysctls are already correct, it might not bother changing them, so it might not require privileges.
That's right. But that's that's a pretty fraught path to tell people, as long as your stuff is okay beforehand, you can run it non-privileged. I mean, I don't know, maybe we just document it that way, or maybe the right answer is we add a flag that says, don't mess with my contract. In fact, I think there already is a flag. I think you set it to -1 or something and it will skip it. I forget the details.
Yeah, this is exactly like that. I have the flags on the config to run it non-privileged. I will reply on that issue. Yes,
okay. I mean, it would be great. Oops, sorry, I signed myself. It'd be great if we could say, yes, it works, and here's the restrictions. It'd be greater if we kept that as a test for the future, but different question.
Yeah, I can do that.
Cool. And if we can close it, then great. Endpoint slice mirroring controller issue.
It's drop here.
Something about restart, maybe missing a case. It wasn't clear whether this is actually real. Antonio, as always, is there before I am.
I was checking this. This is this typical corner cases that we have, that somebody creates something, it delegates the owner, then it deletes. But I think that in this case, I mean, we are reusing some code from the endpoint slice to the mirroring slicer.
Right.
I don't know. It should be, if it's easy to reproduce, but I think that it is. It should be easy to fix. But I mean, it's a matter of time.
I tagged Robbins with on this too, as the people who generally have the most context on those controllers. We'll circle back to this one next time.
Yeah, Rob is on vacation, so he'll probably be able to look at it in like a couple days.
Okay. Next, I saw a PR on this, but I don't know what the state of things is. So at some point in time, we added support for search dot, which I didn't know was a thing, but apparently it is a thing that systemd has added for some cases. Now that we propagate it through, it breaks muscle. So I have two questions here for anybody who has more context. One, it sounds like this is just a bug in muscle and we should just lean on that to get fixed. Yes?
Yes, I think.
Okay. The second question is, we're propagating search dot even if the pod itself doesn't have the same condition that the node had. So the way I understood it is, we add search dot, or systemd adds search dot if and only if the host name looks like an FQDN. And then if you get down into your pod and the host name is no longer an FQDN, should we propagate search dot? It feels like more of a special case to me. But I don't honestly have any idea what the semantics of search dot are supposed to be, because I can't find it in any documentation. And Google searching for search dot does not help.
Can someone give a capsule summary what search dot means?
I don't have all the context. I guess it means try to resolve this as a fully qualified name, like put a period at the end of your DNS name, which putting it at the end of your search path should mean nothing at all, because that's what's going to happen anyway, right? Or I guess that's dependent on the resolver.
Okay, maybe this requires some investigation.
Can we just abandon DNS entirely? Like, just
IPs only. Oh, we just SEP a file around. Host file.
Can we switch to like Windows naming service or something?
Oh, Tim, you make me laugh.
So I don't know what to do with this. This is where I ran out of time to pre triage. I was going to ask those questions.
Assign it to me, and we can, because we have a few folks owning DNS, so we can route it to them.
Okay. I will type up my question after we're done with triage and stick it on the end here. Endpoint slice objects fails to affect service objects that previously had selectors. This again, sorry, Antonio, you duped it to an issue that is closed. So I don't know what you meant to do with that.
I don't know. I'm just checking that. I need to read through.
It sounds again like some state transition is being missed somewhere in one of the controllers. We have an old issue that was like, if I have a endpoints object and then I remove the selector, should I delete the endpoints object? Or...
Yeah, that's the issue, right? No.
Right, but this one sounds like it's even more involved. Like there's maybe two slices ending up here.
I need to read it. We have this plenty of these things with orphans and of the selector. I think that the conclusion in one of them was if people remove the selector, we don't delete anything because we no longer own the object.
Right.
But I don't know if this is the same thing. There are 3 or 4 of them. I can do the compilation.
So,
But
yeah, I think, well, what you did, Tim, looks right, but we'll get them to take a look.
Okay. And then the last one for today, Dan, I lost the thread on this last week. I had to go heads down on something. Can you tell us what's going on with this? Do you know? Winship?
Oh, yeah. So we had talked about it, and then I realized that it was kind of messier than we thought because we were thinking maybe we should just revert this. But if we do that, we're going to break people on a 1.24.4 to 1.24.5 upgrade.
Uh-huh.
Because there are probably already people taking advantage of the new behavior.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't see this guy who responded to me. Okay, workaround works for him. Yeah, so I think everybody who is being broken by this, there's a single workaround that will work for them. So I feel like maybe we should just document that better and say, oops.
Yeah, we paint ourselves into a corner here, and the least awful walking across the paint is going this way.
Yeah.
Can you follow up on that?
Sure.
Cool. I'll try to read the updates. It was a mess. It's a mess. That's it for triage. I turn over the floor.
Cool. Thanks, Tim. Antonio, you have all of the rest of the agenda.
yeah, well, the first one is for the triage too. I don't know if you remember this bug that it seems to happen with GC preemption or nodes, that the node object change, then Proxy is using a null cider, then it screws the pod rules because the current pod cider assigned to the node is different. And well, fixing that is a lot of refactoring. And then Winship made a good point because Proxy depends on some things on the node, on host name, on, I don't know, the IP addresses. So
Yep.
what I wanted to ask is, what are the contacts that Proxy has with the node? And then we may simplify this problem to say, this is not my node, Proxy, I'm going to reboot myself. Instead of just checking now, check if this is pod cider and I have local cider, I just want to simplify the logic. If we have this contract, we can say, I'm going to reboot. Instead of doing 100 conditions to know if I'm.
So I think there's two cases when pod cider can change, right? One is when it was empty and then it got a value. And the other one is if the node object itself was deleted and then recreated with the same name. But we don't allow that field to change from value to value.
Right.
So, and I think I know the case that you're talking about in GCE, and I'm not super happy that it exists, but yeah, and I think that's the case of the node being deleted and recreated with the same name. The idea of just aborting and coming back up clean sounds fine to me, I think. Like maybe we should just cache the UID of the node, and if the UID comes up different.
Can we simplify this to say, just this is not my node. This is not the node I know I am going to reboot? Because the other thing implies to refactor the interfaces, and I mean, that's not what portable.
No, yeah, like we don't want to propagate. I mean, the main reason for pod cider not being a mutable field was it's just too complicated to get everybody to handle that correctly. Right. So simply saying, look, we took the 5 or 6 fields that we care about, hashed them, the hash came out different, explode, come back up and start over.
Okay.
Well, no, that's sort of what it's doing now. But like I had suggested, just don't even bother with that. If the node is deleted and recreated, then just assume kubeproxy needs to exit and restart.
Yeah, that's what. If
Yeah,
I-
sorry. Of the 5 or 6 fields, I meant like UID would be one of those. So if the object was deleted and recreated, even with the same pod CIDR, I don't know that I trust it.
Okay, that simplifies everything because the other thing is going to grow a lot.
I have a question. So are you suggesting, Tim, that we hash things in addition to UID or just look at UID?
I was going to say in addition to UID, but I guess like Antonio, I don't know exactly what the contract is, so I don't know which 5 or 6 fields we look at. I know that with the changes around readiness, we might look at more of them locally. Like we might look at conditions, although hashing conditions is a terrible idea.
Yeah, because like the immutable field means that in order to have a different value, you literally have to delete it.
Yeah.
But are all the fields in the contract immutable fields?
That's what I don't know, right? I would have to go look at that. So if it's possible that there's a mutable field that we don't handle properly and that the only sane way to handle it would just be to explode and come back, then hashing UID plus these mutable fields. If it's only immutable, you said it in the chat, Boy. If it's only immutable fields, then UID should be fine. Dan, did you say something?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for mutable fields, like the code ought to just deal with it changing. But so as it is, pod CIDR is I think the only field that we actually look at in the node object. But kubeproxy is started up with some command line flags that may have been derived from the node object.
Yeah, node IP, for example.
Yeah. So
or host name.
Oh, I see. Interesting. It's not just direct reading, it's actually the invocation itself.
Yeah, when you bootstrap, you need to get the node IP or something, and there is a convolute logic there to get the node IP.
But the node IP, is that the same as the kubelet node IP flag? Like,
right. Well,
does it suffer the same chaos?
Sometimes is the same as the node IP. I think that there are some exceptions or something, but I think that is the kubelet node IP.
Okay. Well, I'm happy with the big hammer solution here if it's really this sort of rare corner case.
Okay, I will send a PR.
Bridget, before you drop, do you want to say what you just said in chat?
Oh, yeah, just that I looked ahead at the calendar and we should probably think about the fact that we are scheduled to have this meeting during KubeCon, North America, on US Thanksgiving and close to Christmas. And I put a few dates in the agenda and the chat as dates. We should consider just preemptively canceling those meetings because I don't know about y'all, but I'm not going to be working those days. So
yeah,
I mean, I'll be working at KubeCon, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be on this meeting those days, and possibly a lot of you are not going to be on this meeting those days.
Thanks for bringing it up. I'll throw it on the agenda at the end. Oh, you did already. Perfect.
Yeah, and I can handle updating those meetings.
Okay. So Antonio, who's going to do this work? Is it you, or do you have somebody that you want to stick with it? Somebody want to volunteer?
I have the PR app, and I just wanted to, and I was tired of looking on solutions to make it at least nice or portable, and I thought that downwind shift comment was the most the best one to solve the problem. So I'm going to update the PR with this approach. And right now it's 6 commits, and I keep adding commits. And
okay, all right.
Okay. The next one is one that I found out yesterday in the Slack, and it seems that the SIG node added a new field to the pod conditions. Pod has network. I linked the cap, and I was checking and reading the cap, and this is going to have an impact because they at least in people that is working for multiple interface, multus, and these kind of things, because pod has network. I mean, with multiple interface, it's not easy to define, right?
Right.
And the other one is for the CNI implementation. And I remember spend a lot of time with Dan Williams debugging these things. When you create a pod, it restarts. It creates several times a network namespace, so these conditions changes too often. And there are CNI plugins that consumes the pod API too. So I'm worried if this can hold loop. So that's what I want to tell to the CNI implementation Calico and all the people with CNIs to check this field and provide feedback, because before this go to beta. I mean,
Yeah. Thank you for raising this. I'd never heard of this. I'm going to request that they make Signet a participating SIG and that they cannot proceed until we're all on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, I found this yesterday, and I really think that it's going to intersect with us. And
yeah,
I mean, at the basic level, it sounds interesting because it's effectively giving you better metrics and latency for pod setup. And I think it would be great to know how long does the sandbox take to set up. But one issue I found with it reading through was that they're calling it like pod has network, and the latency there would likely cover the entire sandbox setup, not just networking. So that might be one interesting thing, because it does seem a little bit misnamed. But then the second thing is, it's not clear what else would consume this based on the KEP. And there is some indication that like custom pod controllers and operators can use this condition for better decisions around reconciling a failing pod. But I feel like maybe that should be fleshed out a little bit more, because sure, it's great to have the metrics. That would be absolutely fantastic to have. But what kinds of decisions are going to be made based on whether the pod sandbox ready is set or not?
I'll send them a PR to throw us into their approval path for this.
Yeah.
Who wants me to put their name in it? Antonio? Dan?
Sure, me.
yeah, I'm up to all these things, all the things that.
Sorry, who wants to be approver? Who wants to be reviewer?
I'll review.
Okay, I'll send a PR to them. Cool. Thank you for raising it, Antonio.
No problem. And the last one item that I have is just, you know that we created this small change in the service IP allocator to not allocate the first IPs of the range by default, and try to allocate the higher IPs first. And it's very small change. I don't know if we need to go through all this bureaucracy, or if we can just GA at the beginning of this cycle. So
Were there any, sorry, I've been super busy. I haven't looked at any PRs in the last week. Is there any changes to it at this point, or we're
no,
good?
it's just to remove the feature gates.
Okay.
But because it's mostly based on feedback. I don't know if anybody is using it or heard about it, or
okay.
If no news, I think that is good news.
I
And
think
that's
no news is good news.
The last thing that I have in the agenda. Well, I have more things if you want me. We have 30 minutes.
We've got nothing else on the agenda, so I think it's fair to open up to other topics. If any
Could I
exist.
bring attention to one PR concerning the IPVS mode in the Kuproxy, which currently leaves all ports on the node open to access from the load balancer addresses. It's partly the same as the recent issue on the node ports, but in my opinion, this is worse. I can actually access the SSH port through the load balancer address on like any node.
I
And
think
it
this
has
is
been,
no, it's just to give context. I think this is the issue that Tim opened a few weeks ago. No, that you open something in and you can access ports.
It sounds like similar, but maybe worse. Because the one I opened was specifically about node ports, which you could access one service's node port on a different service's load balancer. This sounds like you can access node level services on load balancer IPs.
yeah, that's the problem. And I don't know why it hasn't been like noticed by cloud providers, probably because IPVS is not widely used. But in my opinion, this is a huge security problem.
Just to be clear, it's only with IPVS, is that correct?
Yeah, it's only IPVS because IPVS actually assigns the load balancer addresses to an interface. That's the problem. IP tables never do that.
So this adds weight to the idea that we should have some logic that runs through in the filter chain and drops everything that isn't expected.
Yeah, and I have done a PR that has been lingering for quite some time. I posted it in the chat.
Is it specific to IPVS or is it a general?
It's specific to IPVS.
Okay.
And it's not very large because when I started, I was afraid that it would like be a huge undertaking, but it turns out that the same logic that sets and removes addresses on the IPVS interface can be used to add and remove from an IP set also at the same time, basically. So it was quite easy to implement.
Okay, so I see it's assigned to Andrew and Dan Winship. Andrew's still on paternity, I think. Oh, look, GitHub has little notifiers now. It says on paternity leave. Dan, are you okay reviewing this or do you want to punt it to somebody?
I had actually LGTM approved it, but there was a change to one directory that I didn't have bits on. And
okay, I'll look at it this morning then.
Thanks.
And why does this happen, Rats?
Sorry, say again, Tony?
What is happening this? No, it's just curiosity.
Yeah, it's because the address is assigned to an interface on the node. You can do that. You can assign something to the loopback interface, and it will like work the same way.
Okay. So you create all this.
Yeah.
Right, and it needs to be assigned because otherwise it doesn't address.
Yeah, IPVS is kind of extremely old in that matter, in my opinion. It would be so much better if there were a way to direct through IP tables or something to IPVS, but there isn't.
Okay, all right, I'll take a look and see if I can approve it.
Any other last minute topics for today? Sounds like not. See you all later.
Oh, do we want to talk about Bridget's question? Sorry.
Oh, I sort of assumed that was a foregone conclusion. I
think the KubeCon one is fine, although maybe we leave the meeting up. If anybody's not at KubeCon wants to get together and talk, they can. Likewise, I mean, I don't know. Anybody object to canceling them? I don't want to be too US centric, but many of us are in the US and won't be at either of the first two, the October and November 20 something.
Actually, since we changed the meetings time, that is the same people. No, when we switched it, we changed the time because of the meeting because it was too late for the one this summer.
Okay. All right. I'm fine canceling the first two. December 22. I'll probably still be working. I'm fine to cancel it if people want to scrap it. It's just means that we're canceling 3 out of the next 6 meetings. We'll be down to once a month for the rest of the year.
I definitely won't be around on December 22. But so long as there's one person to start the meeting.
Yeah, I'm happy to keep December 22. I feel like in the dev cycle, it'll probably be useful to touch base. If nobody shows up, then nobody shows up. And that's fine too. But maybe cancel the first 2 then. Yes. All right. Somebody just posted in chat. Do you want to talk, Andy?
Yeah, I recently started using this internal traffic policy, and I saw that it was a beta feature that's been in beta a little while. I just was kind of wondering if there was a GA expectation or what might be holding it up, but I'm happy to talk on Slack if that's preferred. Just figured I'd drop in here.
Yeah, thanks. No, this has been one that we really want to push forward. The main person who has been driving this CAP is Andrew, and he's been out on new baby leave for the last couple of months. And so we missed this release largely because of that. If you want to participate, you're more than welcome to. I would love to see this one complete.
I'm interested in how I might be able to participate. Maybe we could chat on Slack about it or something. I dropped a message in SIG network.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll have to page in the state of it because it's been a while. The other person who has context on this is Rob, and like Bowie said earlier, Rob's on vacation this week. So maybe next week we can chat.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? The KEP window's back open, so all attention focuses back to KEPs.
So one question now that you mentioned, do we want to merge the service, multiple service either this cycle?
Oof. I'd love to. I need to make time to review it.
That's what I'm saying. I have a prototype and it's huge.
Okay. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, but there are things that are risky. So all the bootstrap logic is complex. And right now it's a mess. This kind of, I think that solves some of the problems and keep the bootstrap much cleaner. But you know, if this is 7 years old code, and I'm afraid of, I mean, we need to be sure not breaking anything. And then the reconciliation between services, siders, between what is the other IP addresses and services is full of edge cases. I need to add a lot of tests, and that means that reviews are going to be complex. Okay. And the other thing, I think that I don't miss anything. But well, the good thing is that I have a prototype working. It works.
That's awesome. I really do. I personally, I want it in because I think it's important. But I don't want to I don't want to put undue pressure on you. Like, you know, if you think you can make it in, then yeah, we'll try to desperately to review it.
No, but I'm splitting it so I can have partial reviews. So, for example, the API right now is ready for review. The controllers are not. The other thing that is important is the performance of the allocation is much worse. But I don't know what is the rate of service. I mean, in alpha we can live with current implementation, but I did some benchmark, and you know, if you create
well, because you're creating a whole nother etcd transaction in the background, right? So it shouldn't be surprising that it's worse.
Yeah, but I mean, I really don't like it because with 100,000 services, it takes seconds, and I don't like that.
I'm not sure how important service creation time really is for us.
But
I don't think it's a metric that we've ever looked at. Maybe someone on SIG scalability can weigh in on that.
yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so I will. I don't know if anybody else want to jump into the reviews. I have to clean a few things, but the API should be ready to review in next week, and that will. I mean, if I can have the API reviewed at this time of the release, the rest of the things are mechanical. I mean, are controllers, tests.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? All right. You want to close the show, Casey?
Let's close it. See you all.
I'm going
in
to
a
stop the
couple weeks.
recording. KubeCon is a month and a half away. Woo woo.